Ready?
Good evening. Welcome. I'm in a particularly good mood. I just came from a wonderful reception with Gregory Vajda, the Oregon Symphony, announcing the upcoming season. By the way, this is Gregory Vajda, the resident conductor of the Oregon Symphony.
And doing a season announcement reception before a concert when I cannot drink. It's the most unfair thing ever.
And I'm Christa, Wessel, morning host at your favorite radio station, which of course is 89.9, right? All classical FM. So we've got a big concert full of great ethnic stuff. I didn't have any wine either, I promise. Do you want to talk for a moment about the preseason announcement? I mean, we just mentioned it. What's going on next season? They're bringing some great artists to town.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was already on the Oregonian. Online, you can read all the details. I mean, what I said on the party, or announcement, it wasn't really a party, was that since I'm here, every season is better and better. It's amazing guest artists and amazing programs, and 16 classical programs, 4 pops, and more special concerts that I can ever remember. And I think it's good because, well, first of all, it entertains me, which is important, I think, because if I am bored, then you are bored, and you don't want to do that, right? But I get to do a lot of different type of music, which I love to do.
I'm going to list off a couple of the big names that are coming next season. Renee Fleming, Dawn Upshaw, Itzhak Perlman, Joshua Bell.
Run and buy your subscription now. Yes.
Jeffy Bromfman. It's going to be Arnaldo Cohen is coming back. It's going to be a really great season. Okay, so for tonight, yes, we have in our presence a living composer. Who's starting off?
Still
Gregory
alive.
Vajda. Okay, the first piece on the program tonight is by Gregory himself, and I'm going to see if I can pronounce it correctly.
Try.
Dvořák.
Ooh, bravo. Give her a hand. It's pretty difficult to pronounce that. And way too cool. Let me just add that I just posted this on Facebook. This thing by James Lavador is based on my work, Dvořák. He made this color print last year. So, it's a great thing to be creative and create a piece of art, like a piece of music. But when there is another artist who inspired by that, that's even a better feeling. So I thought we should display this here for the pre-concert talk, and we're going to put this back on stage for intermission. So if you want to just walk up and take a closer look, you can do that. I can just picture you reading the program and say, okay, there's this guy, Gregory, nobody can pronounce his name, resident conductor, and then he writes a piece that nobody can pronounce. I'm sorry, but this is the only format I found online for this word that describes my piece. Dvořák is basically just a word that imitates the sound of how gypsies play string instruments, like they push twice the same direction, so it goes Dvořák, Dvořák, Dvořák. That's where the word is coming from. It doesn't mean anything else. And since it's being used in klezmer music as well, I actually found it on a klezmer website, how you can write it down. So you can pronounce it Dui, Voi, as our staff members do it. I don't really mind it. And what I have here, I wrote a couple of files here for you, some music to listen to, if I can find a play. You work at a radio station, right? You should be able to do that.
We don't use these anymore.
Play. Oh, it's right there. It's even marked. That's why we can't find it. Oh, yeah. This is original Dvořák, if you wish, from Transylvania, being played by Hungarian gypsies. Listen to the groove of it. It's called a slow dance, lasciu. If you listen to it carefully, you can count that it's not symmetrical. second one is longer than the first beat, right? Longer. You can imagine them dancing slowly to this music. So what I did, I decided to write a piece that kind of preserves this music, if you wish, and translates it into a Western symphonic sound, an ensemble, a group, a symphony orchestra. There are 4 sections of the piece. The first section, and you'll hear this du-vo thing going all the way during the piece. Of course, in different shorter and longer beats.
Is it always in the basses?
Not always. It's mostly in the strings, but you'll hear this groove going. There was a critic who called this came out on CD a couple of years ago, and he called it the Hungarian blues. And indeed, we have a saying, when Hungarians are having fun, they're crying. And it's true. You know, the more you drink, the more sad songs you start singing. And somehow it's always kind of bluesy. And that's why I find this description really good. Just, it really is a Hungarian blues. It opens with a melody played by the saxophone. Tim is sitting here somewhere. Tim is going to be playing the saxophone part, surrounded by the woodwinds, and that is actually the only original folk song in it. That I, of course, changed the tempo and the melody a little bit with some ornaments, and then and this is to remember a very special instrument that gypsies still use today called tárogató, which is a wooden saxophone. It only exists in Eastern Europe, and then sometimes in klezmer music they use it. It's basically just like a soprano sax, except that it's made out of wood. And so I mixed the saxophone sound with the woodwinds to try to recreate that sound. The second section evokes the sound of the so-called furuja, which is this little wooden instrument. Sometimes they actually have 2 instruments with one mouthpiece, so they can play multiple melodies on it. And so this is basically just a pipe type of sound that you can hear in instrumental folk music in Eastern Europe. And when we're talking about Eastern Europe, this time we're talking about Transylvania. Transylvania, where Hungarians, Romanians, and Gypsies live together. And before the times of iPod and iPad and I don't know what, there was the gypsy band as a form of entertainment. So these guys were going around the village. By the way, the wealthier the village was, the more gypsy bands they had. So these gypsy guys made a living by going to the Hungarian wedding and playing Hungarian tunes, their own style, duve, duve. Then they went to the Romanian wedding, they played Romanian tunes, same style. There's a whole collection of Jewish melodies, actually, because they went to the Jewish wedding, then they did the entertainment with Jewish melodies. So it's a pretty fascinating piece of history. And nowadays, still in Hungary, it's called the dance houses, where young people go and they bring these groups from Transylvania that still know how to do the traditional playing and the traditional dances, and they take dance classes and they dance there. It's actually very popular in Hungary. So that's also an inspiration where I first encountered this type of music. And then track 3, and this is for Tim here, because the third layer of inspiration to me, there are 2 amazing saxophone players in Hungary who started playing this type of folk music and mix it with jazz. So this is called, this number is called Homage to Kodai, but also Marosszék. Marosszék is the part of Transylvania when this music is from. And then we're going to listen to track 2. That's my original duo. So this is track 3. Yes, there is jazz in Hungary. Yes. if these guys can do it, I can do it. So this is what I came up with, and that would be track 2, just a minute from my piece called Duve. This is the middle section where all the music, all the melodies come together, and it's a big dance house, a big Hungarian dance club for you. You can hear the blues. It's very bluesy, I think. So I didn't finish the formal analysis of my piece. The third section is, of course, a big string extravaganza there, and then comes this section where the string material and the saxophone and the flutes with the piccolo, this Fourier material, they all come together. And at the end, you're going to see a very special instrument called the bull's roar. Bull's roar is the name.
Bull's roar?
The bull's roar, yes. And we're going to demonstrate that before the piece. It's just a piece of wood on a string. And when you move it around, it's like a chopper, basically. It makes this low sound, kind of like wind blowing with a low pitch. I mean, the funniest thing happened. I could never imagine this before. Our principal, French horn, associate principal French horn player calls me yesterday, leaves me a message. I made something for you. Meet me 30 minutes before the rehearsal. He made the bull's roar. He does woodwork, and he went home and he invented an instrument that makes a bull's roar sound, except that you can tune it. I mean, we will show it to you. It's amazing. It's 2 rubber bands where you can, with little wooden sticks in between, you can change the position of it, and it's kind of like a ratchet, so you don't need too much space. You can just turn it around. I mean, that's organ symphony for you right there.
So am I hearing you saying that a particular instrument was invented for this very concert?
Well, the bull's roar wasn't invented for that, but Joe Berger actually made a bull's roar that you can use in a circumstance where you don't have enough space for that. So,
gotcha.
But I already stole it, so it's at home, and I'm not giving it to anybody.
So well, this raises an interesting question. It's not often that we have a composer conducting his own work here at the Oregon Symphony. During the course of rehearsals, how much have you changed to adapt to this orchestra? Have you been kind of composing on the fly? This is not an old piece of music. You composed it, what,
5 yeah.
5 years,
well, it's a two-edged sword because I have a clarinet solo piece that I played often, and I always said that, look, if I make a mistake, it's not a mistake, it's the composer's version, yeah? So now with the symphonic piece, there's nobody to blame. If you're the composer, you can blame the conductor for not doing it well, and vice versa. Like, what was he thinking when he wrote this? Now you don't have that option here. It is actually, I'm a practical guy, so I like to, this is the third version, third orchestration of this piece. There was a longer version, the first one that I recorded with the Hungarian Radio Symphony in 2007, I believe. And then I made a shorter version, a reorchestrated version, and I did a reorchestration for this concert, these 2 concerts. It's always a good opportunity to actually do that. And I told to the orchestra this morning that although I did not write this piece for them, but when I was orchestrating, I could actually see the faces that were going to... You just cannot get away from that. It's like writing for a singer that who's going to sing your piece, or writing for a musician. You can actually see the musicians when you're orchestrating the piece, and I think that adds to it.
Definitely, it's a personalization. Yeah. Can I ask how much of the orchestration has changed in the version we'll hear tonight versus your last iteration?
I made it friendlier a little bit with all the changing meters, and it's not an easy piece to play. So I have a lot of practical knowledge now of what you can do and what you can hear. Peter Ötvös, my professor teacher, who I dedicated this piece to, he conducted it 2 years ago. So I finally got to hear it from outside without having to conduct it, and so that gives you an idea of what you can rework. Like I took 1 harp out, there were 2 harps in it, and instead of synthesizer we have a piano, so then I reorchestrated the whole thing.
It occurred to me that you'd never heard it like us, that you're always on the podium.
Now you know.
So that's a nice big Hungarian-esque start, because like you mentioned that you quote a Hungarian folk tune, but it's kind of obscured.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other Hungarian music on this program, and Czechoslovakian music, and then a big honkin' American violin concerto.
Well, you know, what keeps this program together for me is, and by the way, Jennifer Coe is here, which is amazing because I love to work with her. And we're doing the Barber Violin Concerto. But if you think about the third movement of the Barber, that's really gypsy music. You know, the virtuoso playing of the violin, this constant playing really fast, it's coming from that culture. And of course, the Bartók Rhapsody No. 1 is based on the same musical heritage of what I'm quoting or I'm using in my piece. So you're actually going to hear another piece based on the same musical ideas from 100 years ago, and mine is the new one. And even in the Dvořák, if you think about the third movement and how when you listen to something and recognize it as Slavic or Czech, that's exactly because of the groove, because of the Czech blues, because of that groove that you get with the dance. It's all coming from dance music ultimately.
I heard via Facebook after your first rehearsal, some of the musicians were just like, Jennifer Coe, wow. And this is a violinist that I guess probably not too many of us are familiar with, sadly. She's a young-ish Korean violinist that won the Tchaikovsky International Competition in the mid-1990s, I think. She's won an Avery Fisher Career Grant. She's a name we should know, and after this performance tonight,
well, she was here, I think, twice. Is that right, Just twice? She did the Szymanowski First Violin Concerto.
And Brahms?
No, and what was the other one? Hindemith? No. Okay, nobody can remember what she played for the second time. But I did Brahms Violin Concerto with her in Grand Rapids 2 years ago, which was a lot of fun. And I'm just glad that we get to, doing Hungarian music with a Hungarian conductor, that's a dangerous thing to do because we are very specific about our accents on the top of the note and kind of stuff. But she's doing a great job with the Bartók, and it's just a fun piece. The form is just slow and fast. Nothing fancy. It's a really great orchestration by Bartók himself.
Does he quote specific Hungarian folk tunes in there?
Well, he quotes one Romanian folk tune in it, so that's how international it is. But it's basically the same, as I said, the same culture, the same instrumental culture that this is coming from. Let's talk about the Dvořák a little bit.
I'd love to talk about the Dvořák. Can I ask you a question about the Dvořák?
Ask me a question.
How do you feel about this statement? Dvořák's 7th is a better symphony than Dvořák's 9th.
You asked me the same question.
I did. I'm wondering to know.
On the air.
I did.
And I called the 5th. I'm not going to say that 7 is better than 9. I'm just going to say...
There's something about this symphony. It's so much more developed as a symphonic form than anything that he wrote prior. I feel like his 7th, 8th, and 9th symphonies stand in a class by themselves.
Yeah, I think I told this joke last time that there was a student's answer, like last answer before he was kicked out of the class, is that how many symphonies Beethoven wrote? And he said 3. Like 3? Yes, he wrote number 3, 5, and 9. So it's a little bit the same with Dvořák. Dvořák wrote 3 symphonies, 7, 8, and 9. And there is some mysterious reason this is not played that often. I just did number 6 in Edmonton. And you can actually tell how he advanced a lot between 6 and 7. 6 is full of great ideas and the beautiful slow movement just like this one. But somehow it's hard to really make it happen. Somehow the form, he's struggling with the form. He is trying to be very symphonic. And somehow in number 7, he just cooled, with the form. He doesn't really care about it. He just flows very naturally, and it has a very natural form, and it has just somehow perfect, really united with the musical material. So form and music are just in great harmony, and I think that's why this is a great symphony.
You can't imagine it another way. In fact, I think Dvořák himself said that there are no superfluous notes in this symphony. he believed it was perfection. And he was trying to impress his friend Johannes Brahms, because Dvořák had just heard Brahms' Third Symphony and was like basically said, whoa, I got to step it up. You know? And so he came up with this Symphony No. 7 and just impressed everybody. And I adore it. And I think I'm going to say I like it better than Ninth.
Well, you can say it. You're not the resident conductor of the Organ Symphony. You can say whatever you want. I can't. Well, she likes it better than No. 9.
It's got lots of great brass in it. The ending of the symphony, that's powerful stuff.
And the other thing with this symphony is that, especially in the last movement, you just cannot predict what's going to happen. That's what I love about it. It's just it's going towards this glorious ending, and then it's suddenly slow, and then it's suddenly fast, and you just don't know what to expect, and the ending is just great. It's one of my favorites. And of course, the third movement, that's really this Czech folk music inspired thing, which is in 6/4. It's a very strange notation there, and it's one of the probably the greatest dances. If you remember Dvořák Slavonic dances, it's basically one of them, except that it's a part of the symphony. And close to my heart, the second movement starts with a big clarinet solo, beautifully played by our principal clarinetist. That's not why I programmed it, because there's a clarinet solo in it. And the very dramatic first movement that reminds me to No. 6 a little bit. It starts out dramatic. Well, it's better than 9, she said it.
But you're doing 9 next season. It was just
That's
announced.
right.
So are you conducting that one, or will Carlos be? Well, we've got your Czechoslovak moment in this spotlight tonight. I want to go back to this painting that's behind us, if you don't mind, if we reverse back through the program, because as we played a little bit of Dvořák, right? I'm wondering what about the music do you see in this painting that was created after the artist heard your piece?
It's like you're asking me to write a review about a concert. I'm never going to do that. I'm never, ever going to do that. It's like...
But this must mean something to you, because you brought it out here and...
You know what I like about it? I like the fire. Somehow you look at it and it's fiery. And I like that. I like that it has... If you look at it, and now I'm totally making this up. I have no qualifications whatsoever to talk about paintings or prints. I mean, it has a lot of energy. You just look at it and it draws your eyes. And that's why I love it, because that's what I was trying to do with Dvořák, is just capture this energy of folk music and put it on this, our medium, which is the Western Symphony Orchestra, and try to get that really, the drive and the spirit out of folk music and just recreate it somehow. And I think this print captures it really well, and that's why I just love it. I told you I posted it on Facebook already. I said my caption says, "Way too cool. There is a print based on my piece," and I'm right next to it.
Because when we're talking about it being the blues, I don't think of the blues as being so fiery. But there is something fiery about the Hungarian inspiration for this music. And in fact, a lot of the Hungarian influences throughout this concert, the Bartók, and as you were referring to the finale of the Barber even, is Hungarian-esque. There's a lot of fire in this program tonight.
I hope so. I certainly hope so. I think we have a little time for questions, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Does anybody like to ask Gregory Vajda
I said
a question
so much about my music already. Yes, sir.
Actually... What was the question?
If I dance at Széki Táncház. Széki Táncház is these dance houses. Szék is the part of Transylvania where these groups are coming from, and then where this type of music, with the Bartók and Dvořák, are inspired by, are coming from Szék. Szék is part of Transylvania. Yes, I have been going to Széki Táncház several times, and I have friends who love doing that, and sometimes when I'm back in Budapest, I go to Széki Táncház. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes.
Can I repeat the question?
Yes,
Somebody
please,
heard it. He was asking about how most of the dance music heard in these Seiki what? Doll's House. Start off very slow and then seem to build in momentum. And he was wondering if that's the same kind of music that you write.
I mean, if you just remember, or if you don't remember, imagine, the more you drink, the faster you want to dance, right? So these dances always start out slow. The one I was showing you for the first time, it's a slow dance. And by the way, the first movement of the Bartók is also slow, and then it turns into a fast, like in the Bartók. Mine is not really doing that. I was really inspired by the slow, the so-called slow dance, the lassú dance in Dvořák, but it definitely culminates. You know, it has a peak in the second half of the piece. But I'm probably waiting a couple of more years to write the fast part of that. Couple more drinks, and then I can write the fast part of the dance. Yes. Next question.
Are we using the cimbalom tonight?
Let me say it. Cimbalom. You're welcome. The question is about the Bartók, because there are two rhapsodies he wrote, number 1 and number 2, and I actually did number 2 here with Paloma Griffin playing the violin. Back in 2003, I wasn't even a staff conductor of the organ symphony yet. And number 1, original orchestration by Bartók using cimbalom, which is a dulcimer, basically, open strings, and you're playing it with either covered sticks or just wooden sticks. No. It's very exciting, but no. We decided not to. There are two reasons. One is it's not too easy to get a good instrument, and the other is it's not too easy to get a good cimbalom player. And to fly a cimbalom player here from Chicago for 10 minutes of Bartók, that's a little luxurious. And Bartók himself made a version where the piano and the harp are replacing the cimbalom part. So that's what you're going to hear tonight.
We have time for maybe one more question.
Don't be shy.
Okay. Oh, there's one over here. Yes. That's a good question. She said when there's a female soloist, they always get a big bouquet of flowers afterwards. But when there's a male soloist...
Well, I tell you what's happening. The thing is that you're not allowed to bring a bottle of wine on stage here. That's the problem, you know? So the male soloists get it backstage after the concert.
Thank you, Gregory.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you for coming. That's funny.